Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Bryan's Business World. Today, we're going to be talking about how you should approach an overheated residential real estate market as a first-time home buyer. Now, in most parts of the country, at least for the moment, the real estate market is very, very hot. In some local areas or some cities, some neighborhoods, it's almost insanely hot, with prices dramatically rising, bidding wars, multiple offers, that type of thing. But for large chunks of the country currently, the real estate market is hot and there is a lot of competition as a first-time home buyer. So how should you manage this? How can you approach buying your first place, beginning your investment in real estate? Now, a couple of observations with first-time home buyers. One thing that I've seen first-time home buyers be very prone to is what I call the perfect principle. Okay, they want the home they are first buying to be absolutely perfect. They want their dream home right out of the gate. Now, I'm not sure where this came from exactly. I was taught that you start with a lower house and you trade up and maybe trade up even several times to get your quote-unquote ideal or dream house. But it seems to me that people, first-time home buyers, are really stuck on, I've got to have my dream house out of the gate. I will speculate that that might be media influence, social media, maybe HDTV, I don't know, though HDTV shows a lot of people buying, realistically assessing and buying a lot of different houses that are not ideal. So I'm not sure where that comes from, but I think it's very much a problem of wanting the dream house on the first time out. And again, wanting perfectionism. So a lot of first-time buyers will be looking through and wanting it perfect. It won't have the right kitchen, it won't have the right yard, not in the right neighborhood, not big enough, the garage isn't nice enough, the yard's not nice enough, the bathrooms need to be redone, you go on and on and on. And with every single property they find, these first-time home buyers, it's never good enough. It is not the dream house, it is not perfect. Therefore, they can't find anything. Now, you compound that problem even worse, or even far worse, in today's environment where there's intense competition and intense bidding wars and offers, even for very imperfect properties. So what's the net result of this? The first-time home buyers end up buying nothing because nothing is perfect, nothing is ideal, or their dream house, and then they also talk themselves into, well, I'll wait for things to settle down or slow down, or another term you may hear, the level off. Things will level off. Really, that's a terrible idea. If you have waited for the last 150 or 200 years for real estate to go down in the United States or elsewhere, you'll still be waiting. Okay, so real estate generally doesn't go down. And historically, that has almost never been a long-term, it's actually almost never been even a short-term winning play. If you had bought 10 or 20 years ago, in many markets in the United States or even overseas, you'd be doing very well now. If you had waited that 10 or 20 years for things to, quote-unquote, settle down or level off, you might be hurting today and might have missed the boat. Hopefully not permanently, we'll talk about that, but you definitely would have missed the boat. So I think the idea of waiting for things to drop or even level out really is not a valid strategy as a first-time home buyer. So what are we to do with this? I think let's attack the perfect principle, or perfect flaw principle, I should say that, because it's really a huge problem. I think that number one, we've just got to take that out behind the shed and shoot it. Nothing is going to be perfect. No house you're going to own is going to be perfect. There's no way that you're going to reach perfection or have your dream house on the first time out of the gate. I think that the first-time home buyers need to jettison that romantic ideal and, again, take it behind the shed and end its life. Okay, so there is not going to be the perfect house at all, ever, and there isn't going to be the dream house on the first time out of the gate. So let's get rid of that completely. I also want to introduce the idea that seems to have been lost in America of building something. You get, maybe your first house isn't your dream house, it's not ideal, or your first piece of real estate could be a condo, whatever, and you build on it. You trade up. Maybe you rent it out later, then buy something else. So there seems to really in America have been lost the concept of building something. You don't have it perfectly at the outset, but maybe you can get to near perfect or something really great. So I think that's another thing, second principle to keep in mind as a first-time real estate buyer. You know, you are in the process of building something both with real estate and your life. The third principle as a first-time home buyer, you need to accept the concept of settling. Everyone's like, don't settle, don't settle. Absolutely settle. Get yourself a piece of real estate that A, you think you can rent, and B, you think you could resell later. That's it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be good enough. And good enough may be well below perfect. So again, get a toehold, get a foothold on real estate as a first-time home buyer with something that you think you could rent or that you could sell later. If it meets those criteria, and it doesn't meet a lot of other criteria, go ahead and get the property. I want, in closing, I heard a quote one time, and I'm going to modify it. I'll give you the quote. The quote is, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. I'll modify that quote. Don't let perfect be the enemy of what could be great in the long term. Don't let perfect has to be perfect. Let me actually say this. Don't let it has to be perfect be the enemy of great in the long term. By getting a foothold in real estate, you know, it can be far from perfect. It can be a great gateway to multiple different pieces of real estate. And yes, your dream home in the long term. I hope you've enjoyed our segment. Please follow us, leave some comments below, or email us. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.